You know, this video is specifically for Walter out there in the IEFPV group here. Let's go ahead and switch to the FB page. So, we've got a power supply here. One of our boys, one of our big supporters in the group, Manny Drones, he supplied us with these COLDWATT power supplies and also these Dell power supplies. Now, these are fantastic power supplies. You can actually source them online. Let me see here if I can find the tab. If you actually look on Amazon and do a little googly search, you can actually buy them online for 25 bucks. But hey, if a place is going to be throwing them out anyway, and if we got the inside man, Manny. Hey, he's our homeboy and he's hooking us up on such a wonderful opportunity to, well, change our FPV experience, because having a power supply that's solid will really just cut your charging time in half. So, in this video, we're going to be looking at the COLDWATT CWA2-650 power supply, and we're going to look at how to solder up the pins on that power supply and basically hook up our XT60 connection. It's going to be really easy, and how to basically turn that power supply and use it into our charger. But, you know what, before we do that, if you're urgently needing the instructions, go ahead and click forward to at some point in the video. I think it'll be some over there, and you can go ahead and go right to the directions. But, you know, let's go ahead and recap on what's been going on in the group here. We'll call this section the social. We'll just catch up on things going on. And unfortunately, you know, one of our boys, Yusuf, you know, I just remember looking at one of Yusuf's posts of a brand new Stingy build. And then that Stingy build with crossfire antenna on there, on the good spot too, so it gets extra range. And I even went and looked at Yusuf's live cast, what he cast at El Prado right before he flew. And
I'm gonna fly my drone right through that sea of birds. That'd be funny if one gets caught. And then I just fucking go.
You chased it, Yusuf. Wow!
Crash landing due to duck, but yeah. So.
Oh, no, Yusuf. You don't tempt the drone gods like that. You don't just tempt them and just waggle your cock in front of them, because they will bite that fucker off. And unfortunately, you might be able to get it. I hear there's actually a scuba expedition being planned right now, so who knows? It could be another fantastic survival story. Alright. Just want to shout out Manny Drones right here. He just finally built his Acrobat. And he's one of those guys that's actually, I have to catch up to the builds now, because now he's got the GPS thing and I have to ask him questions about how to set up GPS and stuff. But right there, we've got the fully long-range kitted up Acrobat ready to go. That's some nice looking pictures right there. Good stuff, Manny Drones. And you know, hearts and prayers are with you and your moms as well. I mean, you know, going through tough times, stay strong, brother. Stay strong. Oh, this is Dane's video. So Dane actually just published his video from Rockahula. So you know, and look at these fundamentals, man. Look how rock steady that quad is. He's just doing a lot of low passes, and it's I mean, in order to fly incredible, you need to fly smooth first. And Dane's just building in those foundations. Look at that, smooth and looping it out, man. Good stuff. Good stuff, Dane. Alright, what else we got here? Oh. Check this out. We got, that's kind of tight. Short Circuit, he's our guy down in San Diego. We can see he's got the little drone chase thing going on right there. That's kind of tight. He's got some slow motion going on right there. Nice, nice. We got, who else we got? KBFPV. Dude, that is just like ridiculously smooth footage right there. Alright. Well, that's enough for the social. Let's go ahead and get into the directions. It's really Alright, so back to the matter at hand. The COLDWATT CWA2-650 power supply. This power supply is really kind of nifty because it's sort of small and compact, and it really is kind of perfect for the what we need as far as like charging maybe 5 or 6 or maybe 8 lipos at a time. I use mine hooked up to my ISDT charger right over here. Right over here, this bad boy right here, and I hook this guy up to the power supply and then string that to a parallel board, and voila, we've got 6 lipos charging at 10 amps, and that's about maybe 15 to 20 minutes until a full charge, going from 0 to full. So, I mean, it's awesome. It is literally cutting the time in half or less of what you were charging at previously. Well, at least it was for me, because previously I was using a laptop brick that only maxed out to, I think, 5 amps at the most. So it was a little bit pitiful trying to get the actual charge through to my lapos. Alright, so if we're looking here, this is actually a Google image, and I'll go ahead and host this image onto our share drive and link it into the description. Although honestly, you could go ahead and just pause it right now and use it. Let's go ahead and turn in our tablet right here, because after all, I have found this to be an invaluable resource. Just being able to draw on the screen exactly what we are going to do. Now, I'm not going to go with solder or resolder these items for you, but I'm hoping, Walter, that with this very explicit outlining of what to do, you will have no problem. Because I understand the apprehension. I was actually very apprehensive on my own before I started soldering on the power supply, because I was afraid of literally the whole thing just lighting the whole house on fire. But trust me, it's actually very simple. Very simple. Alright, so let's go ahead and outline what work we need to do here. It's very simple. If we're going to actually look at the physical bottom of the solder, or the bottom of the power supply right here, we can see that this power supply, instead of other units like the other popular power supply unit out there is the Dell, which has a series of pins and some other prongs sticking out. This power supply has an actual PCB sticking out the side with 2 large tabs and then many small tabs. Essentially, this is doing the same purpose as those Dell units. It's just that instead of using those prongs and tabs, it's using these tabs for the major voltages and these pins for the smaller voltages. So, the big instruction thing that's going on here is, it says to connect power supply on and power supply kill to ground to power up. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to bridge one terminal called power supply on, and we're going to bridge the other terminal called power supply kill. Now after those two are bridged, we're going to connect those to the ground. Now what will happen after that is that all we'll need to do is just plug the our server cable, or our power supply cable, from the wall to the power supply. There we go. This cable looks just like this. From the wall to the power supply, it looks like this. It's your standard cable you use to hook up your computer power supply. Hook that up to the power supply itself, this unit right over here, and then it will simply turn on, and then it's going to work, and it's going to be great. Okay, so let's go ahead and outline what exactly the pins we need to solder to make this all work happily. Remember this direction: connect power supply on and power supply kill and to ground to power up. So those are the 3 items we need to all solder and bridge together. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Now, if we're looking at our PCB here, and if we're counting our items, all we have to do is number off and count off exactly the number of pins that we are counting down here. So we've got 5 volts here, number 1, another 5 volts, number 2, A1, I don't know what that is, don't really care, that's the 3rd one, PSOK, not sure, okay, 4, PS supply on, yeah, that sounds familiar, I think we need to connect that, and PS kill, yeah, okay, Yeah, that's the one we need to connect as well. Alright, so if we're going to remember the number of pins down, if we're counting downwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, number 5 here, and number 6 here. So that's the thing we need to remember here. And that's the thing that kind of, I guess, is important here. Just make sure and count 2 or 3 times. And, you know, after you make sure you're sure which solder points you're going to bridge, have at it and go at it. Okay? If you look at the other 2 tabs right here, so if we look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 and 6, solder, blah blah blah, we talked about that. But if you look at the other 2 tabs right here, it's plus 12 on the bottom, and then the grounds are on the other side, on the top side. So basically, you're going to be soldering kind of like on the Bardwell board or the Betaflight board, where the positive is on the top side and the negative is on the bottom side. Okay? Alright, let's go on to the bench and see how I did it for my particular arrangement. Okay, so as we can see here, so what I did is I made sure and I went ahead and I labeled right on to this power supply itself. I went ahead and labeled, so 5 volt, A1, PS OK, PS on, and PS kill. Just to make sure, just to make absolutely sure that I was soldering the right pins. Because, you know, I was kind of, I was a little bit scared I was going to light the whole place down, you know? And I'm probably sure you guys are a little bit too. As you can see here, if we're counting down the pins, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. I got a little bit messy right there, but I made sure to keep it clean. And 5 and 6. So I've actually kind of bridged 5 and 6 together into like one solder ball, and then I connected a wire to it. Now, since if we're looking at here, this is the bottom side right here. I think. Hold on here. There we go. Yep. This is the bottom side, and the tabs are sticking out on the bottom side. Okay. Notice how it's sort of on the lower side. The PCB is on the lower side. This is the bottom. Okay. So I soldered and I went off the bottom side and I soldered the 5th and 6th. You could probably go off the top here and keep it in a cleaner arrangement. I don't know, for some reason I got paranoid and I couldn't really count backwards or something, I don't know. But whatever, that's what I did. I bridged the terminals right here. I made a little solder ball, connected the wire, and then I connected that wire to the ground right there. Now, right here I'm using these tabs, the ground tab and the positive tab, and I'm connected that to an XT60. So now what I do is I connect this side to the wall right here, and I connect this side into my XT60 right over here. There we go, it powers on, Bob's your uncle, you start charging at a wonderful rate. I think that's about it. I mean, I don't think that there's any real additional things to worry about that. I mean, a couple tips are, I just wrote right on the side here to make sure that I soldered the correct pins, you know. Make sure I bridge that to the ground terminal. Make sure you know which side's the top and the bottom, obviously. Bottom is the short, where the PCB's at, okay. I went ahead and wrapped this all up in electrical tape, and then I kind of just leave it on my shelf, and then I just plug in the power supply. It's probably not the best way to mount it, but you know, it works. It works. And you know, I wrote down "unplug me" in big letters here because my first couple times using it, I was actually not used to unplugging this unit, and so you know, I left it on a couple times. There wasn't really a problem, didn't really even get that hot, but I wrote this in big letters just to remind myself every time now. Side unit, or a side benefit of this thing here is that if you use the TS100 soldering iron right here, this power supply is a fantastic combination because you can just hook up this XT60 to your XT60 cable right there, and then that connects to your soldering iron, and voila, you've got this wonderful little power bank for your soldering iron. So that's good stuff. I think that's about it. There's a link to the diagram as far as which pins you'll need to solder. It's really not that difficult to solder. If you're used to soldering on PCBs or any boards for flight controllers, it's all the same. You know, let's see here. Yeah, I'm using, what is this, 12 gauge wire? You really don't need to use 12 gauge wire. 12 gauge wire is overkill. But yeah, you could get away with whatever the whatever's on the XT60 right here. So yeah, I guess that's it. Hope you guys have a good day. Ta-ta.